Welcome back to the GTN show. Now this week, it's all about triathletes and time trials as we give our cycling pals a serious run for their money because Lionel Sanders has just announced that he's going after the Canadian hour record, whilst Joe Skipper has just broken the British 12-hour TT record. World Athletics has also just announced more shoe rules around the spark of carbon-plated shoes and prototype shoes, and we have an odd twist on a doping violation in triathlon. Now our pals over at GCN and perhaps some of your cycling buddies do like to mock us triathletes, but I think I've got something that will put them in their place once and for all, because triathletes are owning the cycling time trial scene at the moment. Joe Skipper has just broken the British 12-hour TT record, whilst Lionel Sanders has just announced that he's going after the Canadian hour record. Yeah, you heard me right. He has announced over on his YouTube channel this week that with the lack of racing going on at the moment, he's decided he's going to focus his attention on that Canadian hour record. Now that currently sits at 48.587 kilometers. That's held by Ed Veal, who actually took fourth at the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, in which he was part of the team pursuit. Ed and Lionel have actually raced each other before, just a couple of years ago in an indoor triathlon, just for a bit of fun. Admittedly, Ed did only do the bikes, but Lionel did win. Can Lionel beat Ed's 48.587 kilometers? Well, let's give that a little bit of perspective, because obviously Lionel's going to have to hold somewhere around 50 kilometers an hour for an hour. Obviously. The current world record is held by Victor Campana, a distance of 55.089 kilometers. Our very own Ollie from GCN did 47.593 kilometers at sea level with an FTP of around 300 watts. So surely Lionel can surpass that 48.587 kilometers, right? Well, as many of you know, it's not quite as easy as just holding a big power for a sustained period of time, which obviously Lionel can do a very good job of, because he's got to ride a track bike that is fixed geared on a velodrome. That means holding that black line on the velodrome at threshold for around an hour. He's not going to have a power meter, so it's not quite as simple as you may first think. Now, that said, it sounds like Lionel is really giving this all his attention at the moment. There is no racing on, so I imagine he is going to try and get on the track between now and then quite a bit. He's planning to do it on the same velodrome that Ed set his on, which is Milton Ontario Velodrome. So not at altitude, but obviously it does make sense during the current climate. Personally, I am pretty confident Lionel can do this. I'm very excited to hear when he is going to do this. At the moment, he hasn't announced what date, but we will be eagerly anticipating that. But he's not the only one hunting down the records, because as I mentioned earlier, Joe Skipper has just broken the British 12-hour TT record. He covered 525 kilometers or 325.5 miles within the 12-hour period, beating the previous best of 321.44 miles. Joe actually sent me through his data, so that's an average speed of 27 miles per hour, a normalized power, wait for this, 282 watts. For 12 hours, imagine that. He actually broke the record last year, but unfortunately took a wrong turning at some point during the record attempt, and that actually meant that at the end they added additional distance onto his attempt, meaning he didn't get the record. So it's very nice that he's set things straight once for all. And to add to the triathlete domination, our friend Kim Brace, a local age group triathlete, actually also won the women's title at the same event. So have that, cyclists.
I'm back for Tri News, and we're going to start off with a new world record. I say new, it is actually from 2 years ago, but it's just been verified. You might remember at the World Championships in Hawaii back in 2018, there was a new world record for the oldest person to complete the course, and it was by Hiroma Inada, the Japanese athlete who at the time was 85. He's now 87, obviously, but he completed the course in a time of 16 hours, 53 minutes and 49 seconds, which It's incredible to be doing an Ironman full stop at that age. And he hasn't stopped because apparently a recent quote says it's an extremely tough race for an old man like me, but there's a part of me that wants to challenge myself and see how long I can keep competing. The people rooting for me, and I think it's my obligation to meet their expectations. And yep, that's at the age of 87. So let's hope we've got some competitions lined up soon for him to get training for. We've got an update from World Athletics with regards to the ruling of shoes that are allowed in competitions. And you'll probably remember the new sanctions that came into place in April of this year, which meant a shoe had to be released, I think 3 or 4 months before it was allowed to be used in competition, as well as the rules on the actual shoe. So just one carbon plate, a maximum of a 40mm thickness when it came to road races. Well, there's been a few updates. That 40mm thickness still remains. However, there's a new scheme called the Athletic Shoe Availability Scheme, which is a way to ensure that these shoes are on the market, but actually available to athletes who aren't sponsored. So they can get hold of a pair and actually use them at a big event. And obviously with the games being postponed by a year, it's given them a little bit more time to actually get this in place and make sure it's going to work. There's also a few new rules when it comes to running on the track. So for any race of 800 meters or more on the track, it's a maximum thickness of 25mm, and any distance under 800, it's a maximum shoe thickness of 20mm. And they have said that these transitional rules give us more time to develop a set of working rules for the long term, so which will be introduced after the Olympic Games next year, with the aim of achieving the right balance between innovation, competitive advantage and universality. So but it'll be interesting to see. We're gonna have to wait a year on just how those rules pan out. It does seem like we're going to have to get used to wearing masks. They're going to be around for the foreseeable future. And in some countries, in some situations, they're even having to be used for exercise. I personally haven't yet tried running in my homemade version, but I can imagine it'd be rather hard to breathe. I mean, I need as much oxygen as I can get when I'm running. Well, thankfully, ASICS, their Institute of Sports Science, have developed a mask specifically for this that allows some space between the mask and your nose and mouth, as well as having a vent to allow optimum sort of oxygen uptake, but also to protect from any droplets. And these masks are made from 31% recycled material. They're washable and they're water repellent. Be interesting to see what they feel like to actually run in. If any of you guys out there have actually started doing your training in a mask, whether that's in a gym or out in the open, do let us know A, what you're using, and B, how you're finding it, if you've got any tips with that. It's not just us as athletes that are missing racing, it's also the charities that are missing out on all those fundraising opportunities. So it's great when these sort of situations can be adapted and combined to benefit both. And the AJ Bell World Triathlon Leads has done just that. Instead of having their event back in June, obviously it was cancelled, they had the virtual event instead. And they just happened to have teamed up with a charity, Leeds Cares, back in January. So before COVID really had broken out and anyone knew what it was. And they stayed a partner with that charity and have actually managed to raise just over £10,000 from their virtual race already. And it's another great charity that's been helping the NHS staff and their patients and carers in that local area. So showing how that without events we can still make a difference and have some version of competition. Imagine running 268 miles along the Pennine Way and breaking a 31-year-old record. I think you'd be pretty chuffed with yourself, wouldn't you? Well, that happened to John Kelly, although it didn't last very long because his friend Damien Hall set out just a week later and went and broke his record by 3 hours. And Damien didn't just break his friend's record, he also picked up rubbish along the way, doing a good deed, so collecting bits along the Pennine Way and giving it to his support staff. So a massive thumbs up to Damien, congratulations on the record, commiserations to John, but great effort on the litter pick too.
Well, I'm going to jump back in very quickly here with a little tech news because our partners over at Kask have just released their new Mojito Cubed helmet. This one replaces their previous Mojito X model. This just came out on Monday, actually. It features their ergonomic OctoFit retention system, which basically allows you to fine-tune and adjust the fit, the tilt, and the feel of the helmet on your head, basically making it as comfortable as possible. It weighs in at just 230 grams, so incredibly light, all while still surpassing European safety requirements by a whopping 48%. Now, this one has always been an incredibly popular helmet for Kask. It comes in at a relatively reasonable £125. And in 6 colourways, we've got matte black, fluoro yellow, fluoro orange, white, black, and grey. Whew. Well, quickly, before I do move on as well, you may have caught our video on Sunday. We had an epic battle between cyclists and runners up Alpe d'Huez. We had Lucy Charles-Barclay and Maya from GCN Espanyol representing the cyclists. On the running side, we had our very own Heather from GTN alongside Reece Charles-Barclay. I'm not going to give it all away, but all I'm going to say is it was incredibly close. Closer than we anticipated, actually. But the cool thing is, and this is what I want to talk to you guys about today, is that we are opening out to you. We're hosting a mass participation event in which you can get involved. The same format, up Alpe d'Huez. You can choose as to whether you want to be a cyclist or a runner, or just whatever you fancy on the day. And you may see some familiar faces or avatars from the race on Sunday. If you're interested, you can find the link to the event in the description below. It's going to be taking place tomorrow evening, British time, so Thursday PM. And yeah, get involved. The link is down there just below. We're now for the race news, and this week we had Ironman VR17. VR17, we've had a lot of VRs. It has really flown by, hasn't it? But this week for the pro athletes, they had to do a swim, a bike, and a run. We had a 500 meter swim, 40 kilometer section of the 70.3 Santa Cruz course, and a 3 kilometer run. Let's start off with the men's results, and I'll just quickly rattle through them here. So Matt McWilliams took first place, Tom Davis took second, Santiago Ascenso took third, and then Kevin Collington took fourth. Over on the women's side, it was Danielle Dingham that won, and we had Natasha van der Meer took second, Laurel Vassner third, and then Rebecca Vassner in fourth.
All right, it's now time to take a look at your photos, and there's definitely an underlying theme this week that's reflecting the moment or the time that we're living in. This first one being a staycation sent in from Chris. It's a picture of Akmalvich Beach, which is 2 hours north of Inverness. Now, Inverness is a long way up in the UK. It's up in Scotland. Fraser would know where it is, but for us in Bath, it's a long trek, but it looks like it could be worth it. Chris says, swap the summer trip to France for a staycation in the Scottish Highlands. And he was rewarded with white sands, crystal clear water, and a couple of hours without rain. Yeah, that's the problem with doing a staycation around here. It looks stunning, but you've got to wait for that weather window, haven't you? Now, our next one from Arthur in Austin, Texas. Obviously had a little bit of time on his hands to do some DIY. He says, when you have 0.06 millimeters of plastic sheets, I mean, as you do, I'm not sure if you went to get these or we just found them lying around, some rigger tape, zip ties, spelt like zip wheels, not sure if that's a typo, and some bolts. You can do your own DIY Canyon Speed Max. He's obviously got the Fuji Norcom 2.5, but he's done a fairly good replica with that front hydration setup, although somehow I don't think you're getting much hydration stored in there. Well, I have to admit, it does look pretty aero when it's on the turbo. Whether it actually holds up to the winds in real life would be interesting to see. Right, this next photo comes from, well, we don't actually know. It's a lovely picture, and I've still put it in, even though our sender hasn't actually left their name or the location of this picture, but I just thought it was really cool and I wanted to include it anyway. So if you recognize this sort of monument castle out on the water, or it is even your photo, then please do let me know. You can do that in the comment section below. And our final picture today comes from Andy, who says he smashed the Leeds virtual duathlon sprint distance. His 5K run was the fastest time he's done this year. The 20K bike, which says too hilly, yeah, I know that feeling, and a jelly leg 2.5K run to finish. His time of 1 hour 52 minutes included transitions, but the most impressive part, Andy completed all of this before 8:15 in the morning, so he could still get to work. I mean, that you've got to feel pretty satisfied with, haven't you? Sitting at your desk knowing you've already done a duathlon. I mean, the most I ever managed was about a 30-minute run before I start work. So good work, Andy. We love the inspiration from all of you guys, actually. So whatever it is you're up to at the moment, we know everyone's doing things slightly different without races. So if it's maybe updating your pain cave or going on some gorgeous running trails or swimming somewhere different, please share those photos. You can do it using the uploader, which is on screen now. You can also find the link in the description below. Straight into caption comp now. We've got 3 runners up from this photo last week. Christopher Meakin with Haribo Tang Fastix consumption may cause adverse facial reactions. Savage Poet, I am ever resting. I like that one. I'm guessing you watched Mark and Sam doing that rather impressive Everesting over the weekend. Well, the video went out on the weekend. They did it a while ago. And our final runner-up comes from Jake Hayward. Coach, that's 1 set. Going again in 60 seconds. Ouch. But our winner this week and the winner of a GTN cap is Chris Knight. Victory picture from the Envelope Licking World Championships. Sorry, got me anyway, that one. Hopefully you guys agree. Congratulations, Chris. Do get in touch and we will get a cap sent to you. Now, I've gone back in time for this week's caption competition. Oh, it's retro, isn't it? This is from 1986. Kelly Beck in action during the Hawaii Triathlon. When I say in action, I mean, I think that's the finish line that he's just about to cross. I think by now you all know what to do, so please share those caption suggestions in the comment section below this video. And that brings us to an end this week. We've got a bit of a running theme coming up with benefits of downhill running. So keep an eye for that video, as well as trail versus road. And if running is your thing at the moment and you fancy some new kit, then do check out our GTN shop. We've got some great running t-shirts on there. And remember, give us a like and click on that globe to subscribe to our channel. And before you go, a couple of videos you might like to take a look at if you haven't already seen Mark and Sam with their impressive Everesting attempt. That is just down here. And for a bit of indoor action of cyclist versus runner up Alpe d'Huez, you can find all of that just here.